Hello and welcome to episode number 3. I'm Sean.
And I'm Chris. Techspresso covers some posts on the internet's coldest admin-submitted news site, Techspresso.blogspot.com.
That's TECHSPRESSO. Don't forget the 2 S's. .blogspot.com. And also, don't forget that there's no G's.
No G's.
You know, this seems like a rip-off of Good Podcast.
No. This is totally original. Only it's not very good.
Yeah, definitely not good.
Coming up on Pointing on this episode of Techspresso, Sean helps me switch from Linux to Mac OS while using open source software.
And I may figure out some sort of coffee drink. And also, a little later in the show, Brian will be reviewing Syobon Action, which is a really hard game.
Techspresso.
Welcome to the 3rd episode of Techspresso. You didn't think we'd make it to 3, did you? I'm Sean,
And I'm Chris.
who will get to see his family when he's done.
Please.
So, you recently switched from Linux to Mac. Why?
Because you really seem to like Macs quite a bit, and I wanted to see what the big deal was.
What gave you that impression?
I don't know.
The first item on our open source roundup list would be web browsing.
On Mac OS X, you have 2 main options for open source web browsers. Camino, which in the past was better than Firefox, or Firefox itself, which is now much more compatible and faster,
And more Mackie.
and definitely more
Starting
Mackie.
with version
Firefox
3.
3, which is still in beta, but it's always in beta.
So if you're downloading your browser right now, I would recommend Camino.
Firefox.
Camino.
Firefox.
Camino.
Firefox 3. Next we have instant messaging.
So on the Mac, unless you're like Steve Jobs, you probably hate iChat because it's a Steven Tyler crap. So what I would recommend for IM is a program called Idiom, which is basically, if you're using Pigeon on the PC, it's based on the same spell. Works really well.
Yeah, and Idiom has a MySpace messenger.
Yeah, which no
Because
one
everyone uses that.
So now we have email.
Yes, email. There's only one really good client on Mac, PC, or Linux, and that's Thunderbird. And on Mac, it works just as well as it does on anything else. You can check your email, check your email, etc. Now moving on to media players.
So for media players, I would recommend VLC, which is basically available for like every operating system ever made.
And it plays every format ever made.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and it's the best one that I have used on a Mac.
Yeah, QuickTime sucks.
Blows ass. So now we have peer-to-peer clients, which you're only using to download independent songs, right?
Of course, independent songs.
Oh, yeah.
I love to support independent artists.
Yeah.
And the best one would be Frostwire, which is also available for Windows, Linux, and of course Mac. It uses the Nutella 2 client, and it's basically exactly the same as LimeWire, except it doesn't bug you to pay them money all the time, and it's faster, and in general it's just really good. Next, Sean's favorite activity, BitTorrent.
So for BitTorrent, I would recommend Transmission. It's just really simple, it runs really good on a Mac, and I've never had any problems with it. It forwards all your ports, and works really good.
So what do you download with BitTorrent?
I download Diggnation and nothing illegal. Okay, next we have another non-illegal activity, and that is DVD ripping, which you're only doing archive movies, right? That you've already bought.
Yes, of course. Yep. Which is also only legal in some countries. But anyways, Handbrake. It rips to a variety of formats, has lots of presets, and it works very well on a Mac.
Download it.
Yeah. Something that everyone needs to do. CD and DVD burning.
For this, I would use the program aptly named Burn. It's just really simple. Simple interface, does what you need it to do. We actually have two different Office applications we want to recommend. The first one is NeoOffice, which you would use if you need a full Office client that's much like Microsoft Office but free. If you ever have used OpenOffice on Linux or PC, it has everything. A PowerPoint program, PowerPoint-like program, word processor, spreadsheet program. It has everything you would ever need. It opens a variety of formats, including Word formats, and also uses the Open Document format. And then if you're just doing word processing, and that's all you need to, I would recommend a program called Beam, which is just simple. It has all the features you need, you know, font size, coloring, like, it's a little more involved with some of the things, like, than if you were using, like, TextEdit or something. And it's just a really easy program to use, and it's free.
Next for graphics, we have...
Now, for people that don't have the money to drop, you know, $1,000 on Creative Suite from Adobe, there are two really pretty simple to use programs that are open source. For raster image editing, which deals with, you know, pixels, there's a program which is called C-Short, which is based on the same code as GIMP, except it's a little more stripped down and does what you need it to do. And then for vector editing, there's a program called Inkscape, which is basically just as full-featured as, say, you know, Illustrator from Adobe. So FTP or SSH file transfers.
We have CyberDuck, which is probably the best FTP client for Mac OS X. Supports everything you would need in a FTP client.
And it also works for SSH if you don't want to do it through the terminal.
Yes, and it has an awesome icon.
It's a rubber duck.
Yes, probably the best icon on the dock.